officially committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here with Coach Sean to break it all down. Coach, this is a really big pickup for Coach Kalen DeBoer when you continue to work the spring transfer portal and you look at the additions that have come in. You were talking about a little bit of detail. When you look to this secondary, how important was it to pick up somebody who has experience considering all the depletion from Alabama's secondary?
I think it was imperative. Experience is finite. Stars are okay, and I love stars, right? The 5-star, the 4-star, but experience at cornerback is finite. Going into the season, I don't think it'll really hurt us the first game or two, but going into the Wisconsin game on the road, going into the Georgia game, and especially going into these better offenses that we'll see down the road, it is imperative that you get a corner that has played. I love the stars. I think Xavier Brown is going to be an All-American. I think that kid is going to be one of the best corners, a la Pat Surtain. But I do think early in the season, you need experience at that cornerback spot. If you go into the season against South Florida at Bama, an experienced offensive coordinator, they're going to pick on you with basic stuff. Look no farther than A-Day when they ran a simple mesh route. Xavier gets caught up in the wash. That's an old school trick. Everybody that played this game know that's an old school trick. And the young man got caught up in the wash. He didn't play it right, played the wrong shoulder leverage. And Jeremy Bernard caught a big bomb. So you definitely want to get some experience at corner. Young man goes down. Who's behind him? Other freshmen. Jaleel Hurley, a bunch of kids who hadn't played. It is finite that you have a corner that has at least seen game action. And DaShawn Jones has most certainly seen that.
Who else stands out to you from this Alabama secondary? Because when you look to Alabama secondary, you only have one returning starter from last season, and that is Malachi Moore. You know, you look to Keon Sabb, you look to Deanii Jackson, Devontae Smith. His season was cut short. Now you welcome in DaShawn Jones. You have Cam Howard who joins, and then you have a bunch of these rising freshmen that will certainly contribute but don't have game experience. What else you kind of look into when you look to this Alabama secondary? Questions you have, players you're excited to see, perform at a high level this season?
I want to see, do they keep Malachi back in the back on the hash mark, or they bring him closer to the line of scrimmage at that rover? I want to see, do you replace Devontae Smith with Malachi and put Devontae Smith back on the hash mark? It seems to me the closer Malachi is to the line of scrimmage, the closer you can get him in that star position or something like the star, like the rover, I guess. The better Malachi plays. It seems like when you take him off that hash and put him more in the coverage situations, he sometimes has issues. So that's going to be extremely important going into the fall. And me and Ty and me and Jared, we all said this fall camp here in a few months will be the most important fall camp that Alabama has had in recent memory.
I like the additions thus far, and I think you certainly had to add somebody who had experience. And I know there was a couple guys that were supposed to be here that have pushed visits back or committed elsewhere, but I think you got your guy. And I wanted to ask you this, Coach. When you look to Alabama's secondary coaches, you have Mo Lindquist, you have Colin Hitchler. And in last season, it was Coach Saban who worked with the corners, and you have Travaris Robinson. I think that had to do with a lot of the leakage following the season, as people following them, which I get, or people going around. But, Mo Lindquist, what he's been able to do, I mean, you're talking about an elite level coach. You're talking about a head football coach just recently at the University of Buffalo, brings a lot of experience. He's worked in the NFL. Colin Hitchler, a little bit more silently known. He was at Wisconsin, but I would imagine that Mo Lindquist is going to be one of the fastest uprising names that we're starting to talk about when you look to this coaching staff.
I love Mo Lindquist. He's a good evaluator, and this guy is a grinder. He doesn't mind hard work. He's a young, energetic coach, and that's what kids these days like. I've been at several camps where these kids gravitate to coaches like that. Kids don't really like the boring coach that don't really say much, the serious coach. Coach Saban got a lot of people, a lot of discounts because of his name. This is Coach Saban. Look what he's done. But kids love the energetic coaches. To have a DB coach who's young, who's relatable, who understands schematically what these kids want to do and how they want to play, I think it is imperative to have a coach like that, and I hope he stays at Bama.
Coach, we've talked about this before, but, opposite of, let's say just, hypothetically, DaShawn Jones comes in, he's able to win the spot of a corner spot. On the opposite side, it's probably going to be Deanii Jackson. have you had a chance to evaluate Deanii Jackson? Where are we at in terms of his ceiling? I think that he just hasn't properly, been able to really showcase his ability. And I think, this could be a guy who turns into an elite corner. We just haven't seen it yet.
Man, I like Deanii. I've been high on Deanii since before he committed to play at USC. Mm-hmm. Alabama was in his final three. I think it was Bama, Michigan, and USC. This kid was close to coming to Alabama. I like Deanii. I don't think USC used him to his abilities at all. Deanii is a press corner. They had him bailing so many times, playing zone so many times. I watched those guys scheme, and I do not understand what the hell they were doing with Deanii. I don't understand how they were using this young man. He's coming off an injury himself. Very, very fast young man, California state champion track. I think Deanii is awesome. I think the way they're going to use him here at Bama is complementary to his skill set. Mm-hmm. And I think this kid is going to have a huge year. Deanii might be a one and done, because I do believe Deanii is going to have a great, great season. I believe that in my heart.
Coach, I wanted to ask you this before I let you get to your segment to close out this hour. In terms of working the transfer portal, Coach Kalen DeBoer, I feel that he's done a really good job. In my mind, the biggest addition to this team was Graham Nicholson, the Lou Groza Award winner, because you 1 million. It's still amazing to think that Alabama lost the best field goal kicker, place kicker in college football. I feel that he should have won the Lou Groza Award last year. He was beaten out by this young man, and then you go and you get Graham Nicholson. I think that is the biggest pickup. You also have Caden Proctor, Keon Sabb, Parker Brailsford, Jeremy Bernard, Josh Cuevas, a couple other guys that have been added. And now DaShawn Jones, Cam Howard. Who would you say are like the top two biggest additions, just off the top of your head, in the springtime that have been added under Coach Kalen DeBoer during the spring transfer portal window?
For me, the top pick to me is Caden Proctor. The offensive line to me is the most important unit on the offense. We've as Bama fans should know that better than anybody. If the O-line does not play well, it just looks terrible. Everything looks terrible. Mm-hmm. The run game looks terrible. The quarterback looks terrible. The wide receivers look terrible. Caden Proctor is an all-freshman All-American. The kid had his ups and downs. He was a 17-year-old freshman coming into the SEC straight from high school. Yeah. The kid had plays where he dominated people. He pancaked people. Go watch him against Georgia. He absolutely whipped the defensive end across from him. Caden lost weight. I passed right by the kid at A-Day when we was going to sit down. The kid looks like he's about 335, 340, I would say. Oh. This kid is important to me. If I had to pick another, I would say Jeremy Bernard. Mm-hmm. Those two guys on the offensive end. This is an offensive coach. So a la Lane Kiffin, a la Sark. This is an offensive guy. Tommy Rees is an offensive guy too, but Tommy Rees is a different style. Tommy Rees is not a big pre-snap motion guy, right? So I do say that Caden Proctor and Jeremy Bernard, to me, are the two biggest pickups, because this offense, we may have to lean on them for a game or two until the defense gets its legs under.
He's Coach Sean. I'm Kyle Henderson, both of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here, and give us your take on DaShawn Jones and all the transfers that have been added under Coach Kalen DeBoer in the spring portal window. As news happens, we got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube.